Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode. This is the Musings of a Sanguine Christian Woman, and I have another message to share with multiculturals and multiracials out there. As I was typing, I did a first episode like the last episode, the one before this one. And I was talking I would say that was the introduction, and I called it for multicultural people. And this will be like the part 2 of it. And I don't know, it might run into series, but here is my take. I'm going to be talking to both the would-be parents and those who are going to have a multicultural heritage. I think that you have to, it's a good thing that all of these demerits and disadvantages of a blended cultural family, a blended or a mixed cultural family unit is coming out. A mixed cultural relationship is coming out. And I choose to call it mixed cultural because sometimes it's even beyond race right now. You could be in the same race, like I said in the last episode of this one. You could be in the same race and still not be of different cultures. You could speak the same language, right? You can have the same language, maybe not the same language, like you have your own tribe language and you have your ethnic language, right? So when you're talking about multicultural, although frankly speaking, when I say multicultural, I'm talking to people who are either Afro-Asians, maybe they're from Africa, one parent is from Africa and the other is from any part of Asia, or people that are Afro-European or something, people who are African and one of their parents is from Europe, and so on and so forth, or Afro-Arab or something. One parent is from Africa or one parent is from a black race and the other is an Arabian, so to speak. So, but regardless of which mix you are of, or what kind of family you're beginning to have, it is very, very important, like I said in the first episode of this series. I don't think it's even the first. I think that's probably like the second, that you need to often discuss the issues of your culture. You need to discuss your cultures. It's very, very important that you talk about your cultures. You need to teach your children history, right? You also have to teach them how to be confident, because your love for them is not going to be enough for them to withstand the onslaught of prejudice and biases left over from races, right? Because those who have issues with your other side, with the other side of the child, are going to have issues with the child. So it's like both everything that the child stands for is going to go to war, quote and unquote, against the child socially. Maybe not economically, but socially. And at the end of the day, we are social beings, right? Not everybody, there are times when you want to socialize with people, and if they're going to be if they're going to ignore you or give you the silent treatment or boycott you because a part of your heritage was wicked to them as a race, that's going to be a problem. And that is why I would say that parents in multicultural relationships, you have to be very, very upfront and very, very open about the issues amongst the races and the issues among the cultures. You have to discuss that extensively with your children. Let them understand that they're not half-breeds. They're not your dirty secrets or something like that. They might be to some people, but those people did not give birth to them. Let them know that they are legitimately human. They are not weird or anything like that. They are human, and that is what matters the most. Teach them that they are human, and if you people are Christians, let them know that you're Christians first. So as I was saying, there is going to be a wave of discontent and a movement. I predict that if we do not discuss these issues extensively, and we continue to avoid the issues among cultures, thinking that modernization or whatever that means is going to just take it away, or that the blended, the more mixed the races are, the less racism and prejudice and biases we're going to have. No, it's going to get worse. It's going to be like the calm before the storm. That is what's going to happen. Because if you ask any multicultural, a person of a multicultural heritage, a person of a mixed heritage, what they're going through socially, they will tell you that they're not having it that good. You have black people who would openly tell them that they're not black. You understand? And sometimes they ask them, so what am I? And they will say they're mixed, which is true, but I think it's the way they go about it. They're not saying this. Apparently, they see mixed heritage people as those who have come to steal the little crumbs that the system has chosen to toss to the black people. And so you find that most of the time, the people who get the accolades, the people who get the accolades, the benefits, are usually people who have a little bit of who have some other cultures apart from blacks mixed with theirs. And so it's like they're disenfranchised. The black people are disenfranchised only to have the little opportunities they have being given to mixed heritage people, who just happen to have one black parent, or one African parent, as the case may be, even they don't look completely black, they don't look completely white either, which is shouldn't be a problem. But you see, when you internalize your biases and your prejudice, you will take it out on somebody else. That is just that is just what this whole thing is revealing. And unfortunately, the mixed heritage people, that's what I choose to call them, the mixed heritage people are internalizing it as well. And they're now beginning to resent, their parents. They're beginning to, resent the fact that they don't belong anywhere. And I don't understand, is there anybody who really belongs anywhere? Do you understand? Because you belonging somewhere is like the gatekeepers there are the ones who decide who belongs where, right? So at the end of the day, if you think you need other people's permission to exist as a person, then yes, you're going to have problems. And it wouldn't be because you are mixed heritage. It's because you bow to other people's social segregation. Yeah, that's the word. Social segregation. So we're beginning to have it now. And with some people encouraging, I think it was Cynthia G, a lady called Cynthia G on YouTube, who has not very flattering things to say about black men based on statistics that is not in their favor. And frankly speaking, that is another topic on its own. Black men have not been very, very proactive as much when it comes to the building of the black race. Like they have been very, very complacent about it. When some of them would rather, and they have been very open about it, some of them would rather, they just feel that their contribution to the black race is to just produce black babies with black moms that they do not marry. And then they now go and, as compensation for that, they go and marry somebody from another culture and from another race. Now, I would like to convince myself, like they are telling us, that it's purely about, it's not about them specifically choosing somebody outside the race, is that the person they happen to fall in love with is outside their race, right? That is just by the way. I like to think that myself, but there are just some things by instinct, and some of these men just don't value, they don't see black women as as such, right? And that's why some of them would have a woman, a non-black woman on their arm, and still have the nerve to castigate a black woman who is in a relationship with a non-black person. So those issues are already there. And people often superimpose their emotions, their experiences on other people's experiences. So for them, the fact that there is the fact that some people didn't have a good family life. Do you understand? Some of them had dysfunctional family, and some of them just don't. They're ashamed of their family, not because their family is unloving, but because their family is not the kind of family they want. Some people have some psychopathic tendencies, and so they would superimpose their own emotions and how they feel on mixed heritage men and women, boys and girls, and it's going to be something that would happen from childhood, and I think, and I've said this before, that if you're going to be in a mixed relationship, you need to create a structure you need to connect with other parents like yourself. You need to connect with other people who are in mixed relationship. It's very, very important for the sake of your children. It's just like people who homeschool. Usually they connect with other homeschool moms and homeschool dads, and they have this community of homeschoolers, so that when they have social events and all of that, they can always connect and go out together and all of that. Yes, they are able to mix with people who are schooled in a regular school system, right? Who are not homeschooled but schooled in the regular schooling, so to speak. The regular schoolers and the homeschoolers, they can always mix. But you see, the homeschoolers are not trying to fit in with the government schooled or private schooled people. They're not trying to, with public schooled people. They're not trying to fit in. They have a lot going on for them. They have enough people in their community to work with, right? So they don't have to really mix with them. They don't have to try to get a gate pass or something to be one of them. They don't have that problem. They don't even need it. They don't even feel the need to even do that. If we find ourselves in the same kind of society, fine, we roll. If our alliances or acquaintance work, it works. If it doesn't, next please, So you need to have that mindset where you connect. You cannot, because you are building, y'all are building a united nation. That is what you're building, and it needs a structure. It's not just going to rely on your love. You need to activate that love, because here is the thing: discontent. The mixed heritage people are beginning to voice out their discontent. I don't know, maybe their parents obviously did not tell them the truth about, what other people think about their relationship. I think they pretty much kind of cordoned off other people's opinion from their child, because they feel, no, she's too young, he's too young for that sort of thing. We should not destroy a child's view of the world. No, it's not about destroying the child's view of the world. It's like, You are either lying to a child or you are educating the child. It's one of the two. What you can give it any name you want. You can excuse your reasons for not explaining that there is racism, there are prejudices, there are social segregation going out there. You can give all kinds of excuses, but at the end of the day, if your child's first experience with racism is from outsiders, rather than what you have educated them with, and make them understand that you're a unique person, outside of your father and I, or outside of your mother and I, you are unique. You're unique. Not to mention that you have access, or rather, you have a mixed heritage. It's a heritage. You have to teach them that. And for it to be a heritage, you can also say it's a mixed legacy as well. But then again, it cannot be a heritage or a legacy if you haven't taught them anything good from any of the cultures that you and your spouse belong in, you and their other parent belong in, if you never talk to them about it. If I am married to somebody who is not Black, for example, my husband has to be able to teach. I'm not married yet as at the time of this thing, but I'm giving an example. The man I marry has to be able to teach his children about his culture. The best of it, the worst of it. Just like some countries teach history, you have to teach history as well to your children. You don't wait for the school system to do that. You teach them yourself. You teach them history, everything they need to know about you and where you're from. You cannot depend on other people to teach them that. You have to be the one to teach them that. So if you're unaware of your history, well, you had better start learning. Because we want to have children who are strong enough to stand on their own, who are strong enough to maintain their own opinion in the midst of people that don't like them for different reasons. And I always, when it comes to mixed heritage children, nobody can convince me there is an element of jealousy in it. Like they have the best of the worlds they came from. And so some people feel that they're going to make the world difficult for them. Because you have to admit, mixed children or mixed heritage people, they pick the best of all races, all the races they belong to, all the cultures they belong to, in terms of their look. Like their hair looks different. If they have a parent that knows how to manage their hair well, all they need to do is just combine it. Like, okay, what hair products works best for you? What hair products works best? And then we combine it and we have a wonderful hair journey. The features as well. It's not a social experiment though, because some people treat it like that. Like, how will a mixed child look like? No. So if we're not gonna do a social experiment, we need to sensitize children about what's up and what's down about the world. You need to educate them so they know the world they're going into, that they might not be liked. And the reason that will be given for not being liked is that, well, you're multi this, you're multi that. Teach them to not try to attach themselves to any group that is not mixed. So in other words, any group you're going to be a part of has to be mixed heritage as well. If they don't have a representation of mixed heritage people, when you go out there, teach them that I'm mixed heritage. I'm a mixed legacy. If someone asks further and they feel like volunteering the information, they can now begin to say the different cultures they come from. They shouldn't argue with anyone that says, well, you're not, maybe if they're Afro-Asian, for example, you might have an Asian person who obviously does not like black people, will go, well, you're not Asian. And they can politely say, maybe, but I do not agree. I am part of Asia, whether you like it or not. And if an African goes, well, you're not African, you say, well, that is your opinion. I do not agree with it. Whether you like it or not, I am part of Africa. And it's true. But what I am is someone of a multi-cultural heritage. That is the legacy that has been handed to me, and I cherish it. But then you have to have a strong family background to be able to talk like that confidently. Because at the end of the day, usually when children are not well-baked, well-rounded, because at the end of the day, your favorite cookies, your favorite sweets, they went through fire. So if you think that you can just, mix a dough and now bake it, it's unedible. You wouldn't have donuts, you just have dough. So you have to be able to put your child, after, mixing all the ingredients together that makes a dough, put that dough in the fire. Let it bake well. If it's ice cream you want to make, you don't say, oh my God, it's freezing cold. How can I put my child through that? Well, there will be no ice cream. You don't bake, you don't have baked foods. You don't ice, you don't have iced foods. It is what it is. So it's going to be painful to a certain degree. I think it's not going to be painful. It's just going to be factual. This is the truth about race. And then you begin to talk about, you bring paper clippings and you check the internet, you check statistics, data and everything. So it will just be like going through a normal history lesson. But you have to let them understand that this is not history yet. It's still part and parcel of us. There are people who still hold on to this, and they're going to hold it against you. So you have to understand that this is not about you. It's about them, how they feel and how they think. And you are not responsible for how they respond to you. I'm telling people of mixed heritage that right now, things I wish their parents would tell them, and things I wish going forward, people in mixed relationships would talk to their children about it. It's very, very important. It's very, very important. Because we don't, I almost predict that we're going to have half of the population of the world being social misfits, or treated like social misfits, or being socially segregated because they don't completely fit in anywhere. The question is, who the heck completely fits anywhere? Do you understand what I am saying right now? Who completely fits anywhere? The only way you completely fit anywhere is if you having your parentage from one culture. Does not mean that your culture will always accept you. If you say something that they feel is against them, they will reject you. You're not even allowed to have a personal opinion that is different from theirs. Again, I'll say this. If people decide to socially segregate you, ignore them. You don't need their approval to exist. You exist. You're going to thrive. You're going to live. Yes, you're unique. So what? So is everybody. It's just that many people don't have the courage to explore that uniqueness. You have no choice. Your uniqueness is out there for the world to see. You can't hide it. It's who you are. And so even if you try to hide it, and that is the problem right now, you have people of mixed heritage that should be proud of their heritage trying to hide it, but they can't. It's on their face. Because you have to explain how you got pointy nose, slanted eyes, and where you got your hair from. Hair. You see the thing that this hair thing is going to cause. Especially if you're a woman. Especially if you're a woman. Women, sometimes we have this knack of being envious of one another. So they're going to hate you for naturally having the hair they have to buy as wig. Like you have. The way they're going to look at you, sometimes you'll be like, don't scalp me, please. Because you have the hair they are buying. You have the texture. You have the swing, the curl of the hair they fix. They have to pay for it. It grows from your own head naturally. They're not going to like you for that, but they're not going to say that to you. You have to understand human psychology as well. They're not going to say that to you. They're going to look for what you're vulnerable and insecure about. If they see that you want to belong to what they have, that is not all that at the end of the day. You know, it is all that, but they're not looking at that. They're just going to use it to whip you and subjugate you. So if they're full black and you are mixed, or you are multi-heritage, but they are, one heritage, the fact that you are multi is envy enough. The fact that you look it, oh Lord, they're not going to let you have peace because of that. Because you have features they want. Same at the other side. Black women naturally, we are curvy, we're juicy. We have some of us that are slim, but majorly, we are the ones who have to watch our weight because we end up having curves. Before it turns to fat, it takes a while. We'll fill out the curves first before it becomes fatty. And then you now have somebody who is mixed heritage. In a world where fair skin is celebrated more than dark skin. Yes, they're celebrating dark skin a lot, but you still have, the entertainment industry value more somebody who is fair skinned for the best roles. So if it's just one of those roles that are not major, they don't usually put a very dark-skinned person there. So that's why you have a lightening this, skin lightening that, people who, do anything to get lighter skin and all of that stuff. And you come with that naturally. You come with a skin that some people have spent so much money to get, and you have it naturally. You have the right amount of melanin to keep your skin safe. But at the same time, you're fair-skinned as well, in the middle of all of that. All the insecurities as a mixed heritage person, you represent the perfection that both races and all the cultures do not have. You are a perfect human in physically speaking. A lot of black people, they might not talk about it, but they're very insecure about their nose. Well, we're very insecure about our nose. And you now have pointy nose. Hey, how dare you have a pointy nose? Like, how dare you have pointy? And then you have full lips but not big lips. What? Oh, and then you have a defined bone structure, high cheekbones. Like you pick the best of all cultures and you merge it together. They're going to make you hate yourself if you do not love yourself enough. And again, I'm talking to the parents. It's all nice and fantastic to divest. I was talking about Cynthia G the other time, a YouTube, a social influencer or YouTuber, who's talking about women divesting. Then she was invited on a show to talk about something that has to do with mixed race people. And she kept saying, you're not black, you're mixed race. Why aren't you claiming the other side of you? And I'm like, wait a minute. I tried to mention that in the comment section of that video, and some people were not getting it or they didn't want to get it. I think they didn't want to get it because black people are more intelligent than all that, but we play dumb about issues that we don't want to talk about. And I said, it is this same woman that is telling women to marry outside the black race. And she's the same person who is saying that their children will not be accepted as black because of the father they have. Make it make sense, please. You're telling them that once you go out, your children can come in? Because that's what that sounds to me. Like, oh, yo, she just go. She's one of the divestment, that's what they call it, where black women marry outside their race because of how some black men have been behaving really badly. Not all of them, some of them. And she's like, you know what, just go out there, whichever race, but preferably let it be outside the race. That's what she says. She's one of those advocates. But now she's going to have an axe to grind with multicultural children. And I'm thinking, and she's like, oh, the resources that are meant for black people, it is usually taken by mixed race people. I'm like, so you have this resentment or this bias or whatever based on statistics against biracial, multicultural children or multicultural people, and yet you're encouraging black women to produce more of the people you seem to have a thing against. Make it make sense. So you're saying that if a black woman exits the race or links herself with people of other races, her child is not welcomed in her own community. You see the issue? So we really need to talk about this from all angles without our personal vendetta getting into the way. We need to talk about this. And here is my thing. This is what I'm going to say again. I've said it. If you don't pick anything from what I have said, if you're marrying somebody who is not part of your culture, make sure you talk extensively about the pros and cons of your cultures and the perception people have and what you're going to do about it. No, it's not enough that you ignore them, because they're not going to ignore you. And you might have a tough skin to ignore them, but what about your children? What are you going to do to toughen their skin as well? Because naturally, a child wants to belong anyway socially. So you have to build a social life for these children to belong to. And you can't build it with either of your families, obviously. Because if you're fortunate enough to have families that accept your relationship, what about outside of the family? So you need to build a community with variety of people that are in the same kind of relationship that you have. Like everybody else seems to have a community. Everybody. The Christians have a community. Religions have community. People of different sexualities, they have their community. Well, people of mixed heritage should also have their community. And I place that assignment on the doorstep of their parents. You have more work to do than just to be loving up on each other as a couple. You need to build a united nation or a united community that your offsprings are going to belong in. And it starts with connecting with other mixed race couples and parents out there who are starting families too. You guys have to connect. You understand? If you have to sponsor a school and social events where your children can attend, that would be fantastic. I don't think one mixed heritage person will discriminate against another mixed heritage person. Like, really, you guys have that in common. And leave the full-blooded so-and-sos with their own issues. Anybody who doesn't see you as human first, but is going to, try to make life difficult for you because you are a mixed heritage. You are the best of different worlds. Don't let it be your problem. So y'all have an assignment. And as for people whose parents did not raise you, your parents, I think your parents were afraid that they're going to ruin your perception about the world. But they left you uninformed, and in a way that made you socially deformed. You understand? I think it was fear. I think it's the same fear that makes parents not talk to their children about, not give their children sex education early enough, and they keep postponing it and postponing it and postponing it. It's the same way they don't want to talk about the issue of race. And so there is no way you can talk about history without talking about the issue of race, racial differences, racial profiling, cultural differences, cultural profiling, and everything that has to do with all of that. All the ingredients, the bitter, the sweet, the sour, that makes up the human race. Now you should reach out to other mixed race people, form a community, discuss issues, discuss solutions. And maybe because of your own personal experience, you might not want to marry somebody whose family is going to have a problem with you. Although frankly, that is less likely, but people can be weird sometimes. The person who offended them is out there, but they will choose to take it out of you because the person who offended you happens to share one of the cultures you belong or you come from. So you're like a representation of what all hateful people hate. That is not your problem. You should try and, and I say it's not your problem because you have people who are now deciding to fight the battles or to be frontline soldiers for any of the races or any of the cultures they choose to stick with as where they belong. But I don't see the point of doing that. You have your own to fight. Let them fight theirs. Considering the fact that they're not even fighting theirs anymore, they're fighting you. Well, I'll just put a pin on that for now. We'll continue this another time. Just see yourself as an advantage. See yourself as a blessed person. See yourself as a privileged person. And then don't let that privilege be tarnished. As long as you're not using it to steal from other people, as long as you're not using it and you understand the unfairness that other people might be going through, and you're fair. You understand? You don't take up things. You fight for your own slot. Do you understand what I'm saying? I think that is what people, a community of mixed heritage people should do. Where you are like, there has to be a box for mixed heritage people. You either name all the races, where I can tick both boxes that I belong with, or you put the races and then you put mixed heritage there. And I think they should put all the races. And say you can mark as many as you belong with. With proof of identity. So if they have all the races, they have African, Arab, Asian, European, and all the likes, all the countries, and then you tick the places where your parents belong with. They can see that, okay, you're a person of a mixed heritage. I think that is just about the best. Like, name all the countries and then tick mixed heritage. This is something that should be easy to do. It shouldn't be an issue. Especially since those who govern advertisement, those who are in charge of advertisement, they seem not to have a problem with putting a black woman with a white man in advertising. I should think they should put it also when it comes to filling forms that requires they know where you're from. And you have to investigate, okay, this opportunity I'm getting, whose slot is it? So if they tell you, oh, it's a black slot, no, I want my own slot. Leave the black ones out of it, I want my own. That is important, that you ask for your own fair share without imposing, quote and unquote, yourself on people that don't even want you around. And say, look, I am from all of these places. And I want my own share. I don't want to take from those who, the share you have given to only one person. So I don't know how you're gonna do it. Maybe you pick a little bit from everywhere that I belong with to give me mine or something. That would be great. These are things you should be discussing when you're having your community meetings and social events and all of that. And you guys should talk about things that concern you, feeding patterns, health, hair. Because people of mixed heritage, they always talk about how hair is the issue for them. Where, they seem to, I think usually it occurs when the mother is white. Or the mother is non-African or non-black. Black women seem to be a bit more versatile about hairdo than most races, but some mothers are very committed enough to learn how to do their child's hair. I don't know why that should be a problem, but most of the time, most of their parents just leave their hair to run wild like that, which is wrong. It's beyond hair, it's identity, right? So you want to talk about all of these things. I don't know, there's something about black moms that they just want to, do their child's hair, their daughter's hair. And so when they say, this hair is a bit different from mine, they just, they just do research, find out things, ask questions. And their daughters end up with beautiful hair. Well, again, I'll put a pin on that. So, the scripture still stands about these issues. Guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. The book of Daniel says, they that love their God, they shall be strong and they shall do exploits. Right? And remember, God has not given you the spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. And the fruit of the Spirit. What is the fruit of the Spirit according to Galatians chapter 5, 22 to 23? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, self-control. You have to admit that those are the things that a person should have for you to have a happy life. For you to understand other people even if you don't agree with them. These are must-haves. It is well. I'll see you or hear you or, until the next episode. Just be strong. Shalom.